of weeks or just last week.
Yeah.
I don't know where my headspace is right now. I've been out shopping
we good,
a lot.
baby. Definitely had like a little technical difficulties going into it, so we just bringing it all together right now. But we good now.
That's all that matters, man. I love this show. I love getting just this hour away from the real world, I guess you can say.
For sure. Facts. It's always a nice escapism type exercise whenever I'm talking about sports, especially with you, my man, Coby Clark.
Absolutely. Thank you, the lawnmower. Appreciate it. Man, let's just dive right into this. I think it has been such an up and down roller coaster. The schedule we're going to be talking about here today on the Format of Sports Extra for January 16th, 2023. We're going to start off talking about some men's and women's college basketball, specifically here on the campus of Indiana State University. Talk about those men's Sycamores and those lady Sycamores, see how well they are doing and what they need to improve on. Because the last couple of games or so, they have not been looking the best. Take a quick break, talk a little bit about the Indianapolis Colts, one more break, and finally recap it with one of the best things going on right now, personally in my life, is the Pacers.
Shout out to them.
Absolutely. Man, Joe, let's just talk about it. Let us first start off. Well, first, thank you to everyone listening. Shout out to y'all. Everyone here on Twitch, thank you for watching us live in the studio. You could do this as well. We have a call-out meeting coming up this Thursday, 7 p.m., third floor, Dreiser Hall. You could do music, you could do DJing, you could do live shows, newscasts, even a broadcast, some sports, just like me and my man
Promotion, Joseph. If you're into social media, we need that too.
Promotions, everything.
Plenty of opportunity here at WZIS.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do more than just one thing. You don't have to have your whole head and heart set on just one thing. You can branch out and do a little bit more as well.
100%.
All right, Joe, let's talk about it. Let's get into the nitty-gritty, as I like to call it. Indiana State men's basketball is the first topic of discussion today. And, man, it has been pretty weird, to say the least. Indiana State men's basketball, we didn't expect a whole lot coming into the season, but my expectations have been blown out of this world with how well this team has been performing. But the fact is, once you expect something and then you don't get that, you get the opposite. I expected the team not to do the best, I'll be honest. Here we are now. They're being one of the best in not only the conference, but the state of Indiana as a whole, going up to just their first month starting the schedule. Now a couple weeks have passed. Now our expectations are higher as Sycamore fans and students here at Indiana State. And somehow, some way, this team right now, a little bit of a slump, I guess you can say.
Yeah, most definitely a little bit of a slump, and that's kind of hard to see. Right now, if we look at the standings in the Missouri Valley Conference, we are in a three-way tie for number one in the Missouri Valley Conference. And right now, it's not looking terrible.
It's not.
But like the games are all really tough losses. They're like, first you go against a team in the Salukis, the Southern Illinois, who's right now, due to this game, they are number one in the Missouri Valley Conference, tied, I guess. But they do have the tiebreaker. And so, you go against that team, and then you're up by double digits in the first half, and then the second half, and just it all falls apart pretty much. And, of course, for me, and I had a discussion with my roommate who went to the game. And, my roommate and me, we always talk sports. That's the first
absolutely.
thing. There's no hi. There's no, how was your day? It's just like, bro, did you see Donovan Mitchell? You see Tyrese Halliburton tearing them up? Man, KD's injured or something like that, And especially when he comes
That's a good
home,
friendship right there.
Oh, yeah. It is the best. I love
it. Reminds me of group chats.
That is the most accurate way to depict our relationship. We were just like a living group chat, just talking, just talking. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, we just talking about it. And so he came back and then he was ranting to me about how the refs were like this in the game. There's a bunch of fouls that should have been called. And looking back at the game, looking at some of the highlights and stuff, I could definitely see where he's coming from. There was a lot of questionable, calls, and it's just a double-edged sword, because I'm not really one to really complain about, officiating, because to be fair, they have a hard job, especially with a team like Indiana State that plays with a lot of pace, a lot of action and stuff. There's just a lot of fast-paced things that they have to make really quick, second decisions on whether something's a foul and whether it's not.
Absolutely.
But it's such a double-edged sword sometimes, because it's like, not only do you kind of kill the momentum which again, like I just said, it's a really big thing in a paced offense like this. Once you kill the momentum and with the call and stuff, and you just kind of keeps on getting called over and over again, it just kind of like it just really just sucks the energy out of a team like Indiana State. So, then there was that game, and then, you moving on to the next one, and the next one wasn't too much better, but the first loss was definitely tough.
Yeah, I mean, just going back on their schedule right now for the men's side of things, you look at them and they had such a special moment in the sun, I guess you can say. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying the season's completely over because it's not. This team still competes at a very high level. They're always battling back and forth, whether the competition is a Southern Illinois team who's number 1 in the Missouri Valley Conference, or if it's Evansville, who's the last place team in the Missouri Valley Conference. No matter which way you want to spin it, Indiana State will always be competitive and stay until the very end. But the thing is, with how this team has been performing as of late, they just been dropping, and they just haven't been looking the same as much. Now, me personally, I am a hard believer. I think I've said this once or twice already on the pod, or not the pod, excuse me, that's on Tuesdays, on the show once in a while. And I'm a firm believer in momentum and how momentum thrives and will drive you on a season and in a game situation. Right now, the momentum is kind of low right now. What exactly does Indiana State have to get out of this next couple of games or so to get back to where they once were just a month ago?
You see, I think there's a positive light with these two games, right? It's not one thing that has kind of stood out that, which is a good thing and a bad thing, but in my eyes, it's a good thing because it's really like, you could say it's officiating in, Southern Illinois, and then you go to Missouri State where it was just Missouri State just was shooting lights out in the beginning of the game for no reason. Yeah. Just hitting all the threes.
Just so weird.
And just jumping out to that really high lead and stuff. So, you have those two types of games, and, there's just little things like that can be pretty easily fixed. You know what I mean? The officiating is something where, you're coming back to the Holman Center and hopefully, they're going to let you play a little bit more because a lot of the officials are going to be, used to your brand of basketball. So they kind of understand the flow of the game. And then, that's one easy thing. Just close out on, 3-point shooters. You know what I mean? You don't want to get Bradley to make sure that they have, this fantastic shooting night, which is, abnormal. You don't see that whole lot in the Missouri Valley Conference. And so, especially from other teams, this is the most 3-point prolific team in the Missouri Valley Conference, in my opinion, is Indiana State. So, if any team's going to do it, it's going to be them, but just make sure that doesn't happen on the enemy side. And so, there's just little things like that that I think are more of a result of losing to the Salukis in the fashion that you did in front of, a huge blackout cancer night crowd. That
sick kind of jerseys, by the way.
Yeah, dope.
Sick.
And so, when you lose like that in that kind of fashion, it's just man, that's one that should be a win. But, that's just something that you guys, we have really good coaching here at Indiana State. Bring the guys together, sit them down, be like, okay, refresh. Let's start 0-0 on the season, and then just keep it pushing. And, protect home court, and then you're right on track to have a further successful season. But a lot of these games really matter, especially since the top 3 teams in the Missouri Valley Conference are 6-2 in the conference so far. So you just want to make sure that you bang out these conference wins so they can keep it pushing.
Conference does matter a whole lot.
A whole lot.
Of course, the year Indiana State, decides to be, really good, every other team in the conference also has to join them.
Exactly.
I mean, if you just look at these games, just going back to when we went on break, which would be around the December 11th, December 17th game, immediately they go on a 3-game losing streak, make that 4-game losing streak, which was definitely hard as a fan on the outside just seeing that. And only one of those games of the 4-game losing streak was at home. Indiana State will and always be a home crowd team base.
For sure.
They need the help at home. We've seen that many times. And it's really struggling for them when they do hit the road. Southern Illinois, that was a huge win for them. But then you can't beat Southern Indiana, that one was really a blow in my mind. I just can't believe how well that game. Congratulations. That was the game, one of the players who went off. I don't think he missed a single 3 all game for the U.S. side.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I'm so sorry if I do not pronounce this right. It's DeQuaints?
Sure.
It's Duquesne. I'm sorry if I do not pronounce that right. I know I'm not. Another loss right there by 6. Then you finally do get to come home. It's Northern Illinois, and you lose against Northern Illinois. Indiana State has to be able to crunch this. And over the break, they were still just playing like they were kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit. Sure, you beat Evansville, their last place in the conference. But then you do defeat Valparaiso. You do defeat Illinois State. But then it's just once in a while, the Southern Illinois team, going back to that game, it definitely hurts. And just yesterday, going back to when they hit the road again, Missouri State. So they have these game stretches where they're winning a solid and, playing very team-like basketball. But then, just one game can really kill the momentum, and then it can lead into a bad, poor game the next night. So Southern Illinois, for example, lose that one. They were up-ish. They had a nice lead going into the second half, and then all of a sudden they come out and win. And then, just last night, Missouri State beats them by 2.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing about going into the rest of the schedule for them. They don't really have a really good reset point, kind of going into the games. I mean, sure, you have a few games where, you have, maybe – actually, you only have one back-to-back home game schedule. The rest is either, like, back-to-back away games or, home game, away game.
And that's tough for us.
And that's tough. So, definitely those losses might sting a little bit, but like really it's how you respond against Bradley right here. And then like going into Murray State, which hasn't had that great of a season. It's kind of outside of their standards over the last couple of years. So that's a game that you should be able to pick up another win. And then the real test, which I think is going to define the rest of the season, is going to go against Drake, where instead of, winning by one possession at home, you have to go back to, Drake's home court. And then you have to win that game. You know what I mean? So these are really 3 important wins that I think Indiana State really needs to win out on in these next 3 for them to really have that momentum going into the rest of their schedule, just so they have that confidence, going forward. Because again, those 2 back-to-back losses definitely sting. But I have faith in this Indiana State squad,
always.
For sure.
I'll always, support the blue and white till, I'm gone. So the fact that coming up on the schedule, we could just preview the rest of the schedule.
Yeah.
Coming up against this Wednesday night at home, it's a home game, so that does help them in favor against Bradley. Bradley is, sort of on the upper end, middle pack of the Missouri Valley Conference, so you never really know. It could be a win, it can be a loss. There is just no determined yes factor, 100% answer on that one. Then you go and hit the road against Murray State. Murray State, we know how well they have been coached, how well they've been played. Shout out John Morant, alumni right there. They're also very middle of the pack, but it is on the road against the Racers, so you're going to have to see.
Actually, no, don't shout out John Morant. He boomed on my man Jalen Smith like that.
That was crazy.
No, it was crazy, but I can't give him no love. Especially not now.
I didn't even bring up that dunk, okay?
Okay, no. It's on my mind. He stay in my head after that, so we just gonna keep it pushing. That was a nice little dunk.
Are you saying John Morant lives rent-free in your head?
Of course. Always.
I can see it.
Always. Until Jalen Smith gets his get back. I don't know.
We'll wait on that one. We'll see how that one turns out. Drake. That was the craziest game of the season, I believe.
I agree.
At home.
So fun.
Came down to a buzzer beater, and now you're back at it again against them. On the road, though. Drake, who consistently has good seasons. I mean, they've been, in the Missouri Valley Conference Championship the last couple of years or so.
Good squad.
And they, not the best of seasons. I mean, 14-5 up to this point isn't awful and terrible, but for Drake standards, you would prefer to them still have about 3 losses up to this point, whereas Indiana State now has 6 losses. So it's just, it's just very weird on how that game could pull out for them as well. They did it before. Can they do it again? In that game, they did lose out on Cooper Dees. But he, missed some time. Now he's healthy. Hopefully he remains healthy. Yep. Northern Iowa on the road, or coming here, that should be a win. And then you go down to Evansville, who, you've beaten them once by almost 30. You could do it again.
Word.
Murray State, you have to play them once again coming up just the next time. Valparaiso, this time at home. Just a lot of, they're getting to those second time around conference games. And there is not a whole lot of time until, me and Joe, we got to head down to St. Louis and see how this team performs at Arch Madness. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games. You got to come out and support those Sycamores.
Have to.
I believe there's only less than 6 home games. So there'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 6. Yeah, there is. So it's split half and half.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what you guys can do, if you can't make that trip to Arch Madness in St. Louis, please come just over here on campus, support those boys.
For sure.
One boy in particular who I have to talk about and who I've been very impressed with on the season is my man, Courvoisier McCulley. This guy, without a doubt, he is a dog. I could honestly see him maybe making it. I'm not saying the NBA. Maybe the G League, I could see it if he just, it just depends on how the season goes. I really like his game. I like his, demeanor. I like the way he can lead a team. I like the way he just brings the ball up the court with a nice little swag, that nice little sidestep jump shot that he brings to the table. He just has it all, man.
Yeah, I think that what he's played like in the last couple of games is kind of like different from what we've seen recently. I feel like, he's obviously from the jump. Like in the beginning of the season, we know, okay, this dude gonna be nice for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He was hitting those threes, big time shots, back to back to back. He just, we saw that he's like that, you know. But like the last couple of games, it's just been a little up and down for Indiana State shooting. And sometimes, like I say, it feels like every season you live by the 3 and you die by the 3 sometimes.
Right.
And I feel like in the last couple of games, he's kind of lived and died by the 3. But the fun thing about shooters is they're just gonna have a night after a slight slump where they're not scoring output isn't good or their efficiency is a little down. They're just gonna explode. You know what I mean? It's just gonna
depends.
happen. And I think it's a matter of time. And honestly, I think it's a really good opportunity against Bradley to have that type of game where he just okay, back on track. You know what I mean? Just back on track. We're gonna hit these 3. We're gonna play our game. We're gonna defend home court and then we're gonna hit some shots. Because I really do think that his constant and consistent play is going to be the difference between a really good March and an underwhelming one.
Yeah, I mean, if the team just keeps playing the way it does, I talked about it just yesterday with a couple of friends. I would not be surprised this team makes the championship or we're heading home on day one. It just depends.
For sure.
These 12 games matter so much.
They do.
And I believe the main reason why there's so much success, besides obviously Coach Schertz and how well he's done his second season,
Fantastic coach.
is McCulley. This man's averaging almost 17 points a game. He is, without a doubt, probably the best player. We know how well Cooper Neese is and how well he's been here as a Sycamore all season and, seasons prior to that. But I believe with the year that McCulley has had, we wouldn't really be here without him.
Yeah, he came from DePaul, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
Yeah. Shout out to him. Really, really good. Really good coaching and really good culture there at DePaul and stuff. Shout out to him. I think one of the fun connections I have to him is that I believe his little agent for his NIL deals is Showtime Arnett, who is, if you don't know Showtime Arnett, he is a North Central legend.
Really?
That's my high school, North Central legend.
Okay.
And he actually advised a couple Indiana State guys and stuff. And so Showtime Arnett, he's just such a great dude. He's just like one of those old school cats who just love the game of basketball.
Right.
So always hang around. I remember he was interviewing Victor Oladipo, for the Pacers. Yes, and then Victor Oladipo had a blast with him just because his name is. He just introduced himself as Showtime Arnett because he just.
Is that actually his government name?
I don't think it's actual. I hope it is.
That would be insane.
Hope his name is actually Showtime Arnett. But shout out to him. Follow him on Instagram. He's really, really cool cat, man.
That's a really cool story
him.
right there, man. If only Victor Oladipo was actually liked here again.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Crazy,
I digress. We are carried by Halliburton, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Oh man. I just really hope this men's team just really figures it out and just stays the course. Just don't let too many things get in your way from a potential great season.
Protect home court and, shoot or shoot.
Protect home court. Just play your game of basketball. Listen to Coach Schertz. Leadership. Come March, man. It could be really
fun.
Really fun or really upsetting.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see.
That's what I love about sports, man.
Absolutely. Transitioning now into women's Sycamore sports, as it's the Indiana State women's team who came up just short as well on their game. I wouldn't say as short because, to be honest, it was a very difficult game for them. Playing Drake here, they were phenomenal, that team was. Shout out Maggie Bear. one of the leading scorers for Drake. Anna Miller coming off the bench. She had about, I believe, 13 to 15 points, and Bayer had 17 with 6 assists. So a very good coach team the Lady Bulldogs were. And the one thing that I noticed that I think everyone in attendance can note, or if you're a longtime Drake fan in general, how well you know. I don't know if the boys team did this a whole lot when they came here, but I do know the women's team when they came here. Every dead ball, Joe, almost about every 30 seconds to a minute, sub.
It's so interesting.
So many fresh legs. So many. They were on top of it all.
For the Sycamores, right? Or the
For Drake. Drake would just do that all the time.
And I noticed that with a couple of the teams that Indiana State faced.
It's weird, right?
Very odd. Very odd. I don't see that very often. That might be just a thing with, Missouri Valley Conference, women's basketball. But it just feel like they're just so many players that are played, on a night-to-night basis for each team. Just the depth, I think, is just going crazy right now. But it was definitely a very tough showing for Indiana State for sure.
It was a 32-10 to the end of the first quarter. They were just caught off guard, man. They just did not look ready. But give them the credit they deserve. I mean, coming up out of that second half, heading into the fourth quarter, they were on a mission, and they looked pretty good, ending all things considered. Yep. But alas, it just wasn't the case. I mean, Deljanae Williams, one of the best Lady Sycamores we've had here in recent memory, she ended that contest with 17 points, which was a team high. Chelsea Kane, another starter who did her thing. But really, the coolest stat that I saw here on Twitter just yesterday, it was on Saturday, where Anna McKendry, we all know how well of a scorer she has been. Not only was she, dishing out on some scoring, but dishing out on some passes. She was the first Lady Sycamore to record a double-double in points and assists since the season of 2006.
Wow.
14 points, 10 assists from Anna McKendry. Pretty cool.
She's nice. I love how, her playmaking is she's very smart about the game. And, whether it be a half-court setting or a full-court setting, she just knows who to get the ball to,
right?
Especially when it's in her hands. And, honestly, from, a critical standpoint, I wish the ball was in her hand a little bit more. But, what she's doing is just really fantastic. She's just one of those, big surprises that we've had in the year for the Lady Sycamores. And then just in general, I just feel like this squad has – they played well, very well.
Sometimes, yeah.
Considering, past seasons. I should say.
Right.
Because, we had, a fantastic first season in terms of, what we've been through in the last couple for Indiana State women's. And then I feel like we took a step in the right direction this season so far. And, this trajectory is really nice. Again, it's just hard to, have a program, especially a women's basketball program for Indiana State to, go from pretty much a zero to, top of the conference, playing.
Right.
I think what they're doing right now is they're building a really good culture. And I think that, right now they have a couple of girls who are going to, start coming up in a few years. Bella Finnegan. Bella Finnegan is nice.
We talk about her, Blake, on Saturday and how well she's kind of got next. She is next.
Exactly.
She is her.
Exactly. I be feeling, you remember? I think it was Sierra Canyon. It's the basketball team that Bronny plays for.
Yeah, Sierra Canyon.
And then Bron posted a Instagram post talking about some hermithy, talking about the women's some women's on the Sierra Canyon basketball team, and I thought that was corny as heck because he's almost 40, dog. But
he's a dog though. Still,
he a dog.
He just hit 38,000.
But he's so lame. Whenever I follow,
funny though.
He's so funny. But yeah, she like that, and I think that she's going to be one of those people who are going to learn under a Deljanae Williams, a great 3-and-D type wing, and then you're going to go against learn from Anna McKendry. Fantastic playmaker, Chelsea Kane, a fantastic slasher, and she's just gonna pick up on those little things. And I think eventually come at in a sophomore, junior season or something like that, she's just gonna come up and then just be the complete lead person. I think for Indiana State, and I think she's gonna be really nice. She's already nice now. I be seeing some of these mid-range moves that she be putting on them. Oh, beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
I love absolutely how the biggest of this about talking to her. She's only a freshman.
She's only a freshman. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. It's crazy. And, I do think what Indiana State is building right now is, very, very special, and I think is very appreciative to like just basketball here at Indiana State. We are a basketball school, of course.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think going forward, looking forward in the season, I think the goal for Indiana State should just be make sure that we protect home court.
Right.
I feel like if we start dropping home games, that's when I get really, really nervous. I'm not going to have exactly. I'm not going to have like super high standards for this program just yet. But I feel like, we have like a pretty nice homestand where we have 3 back-to-back straight versus Belmont, Murray State, and Evansville. And I think each one of those should be wins, at least 2 out of the 3. And then, going forward, just make sure that just protect home court, be competitive, and learn how to play basketball the right way.
Right.
So, yeah.
The one thing is that we have to do note about the loss on Saturday is they were kind of missing 2 of their better players, unfortunately. Ella Sawyer and Adrian Folks.
Man,
Folks is definitely, she makes a huge difference.
She does make a huge difference. I think.
And Sawyer as well. Yeah,
I think Indiana State has a really good, versatility at the big girl positions. You have Maya Glanton, who's kind of like that, just kind of scrappy, traditional big, who she's going to rough up to get those rebounds.
She's getting a good amount of minutes too yesterday.
Exactly. And, sometimes you really need that. And I feel like Adrian Foltz is more of that kind of skilled forward who's going to be like, do a little bit of everything, but, she's going to make those passes. She's going to, shoot, and, hit her shots and everything like that. But I do think we have really good duality and stuff. But I think it's about what's hard from a coaching standpoint is making sure that each one of those girls plays in the right moments against the right opponents with the, proper amount of minutes. So I feel like that's like an underrated thing about, coaching, where you have like 2 girls or, 2 just players in general who are like really good at like specific things. And then you're going to have everything you need to beat an opponent.
Right.
But just playing them in the correct time, it's just hard. It's definitely hard and stuff.
Easily.
But I think once injuries, especially when it comes to Folks who was out with the ACL tear, last year and, is just making her way back now. I think it's about like making sure everybody, stays healthy and stuff. And then I think once you have that health, you can easily, fill that out and smooth out that rotation for sure. But yeah,
man, just one more quick note here. They do have a contest coming up on Friday, which will be against conference number 1 team, Illinois State. And, of course, that one, it's going to be kind of tough. Don't get me wrong. Hopefully everyone's healthy and ready to go. They're going to have 4 days after today to really get prepared for that one. I mean, you're 10th in your conference right now. Only, time will tell how well they will do with Hoops in the Heartland coming up as well just after Arch Madness for the boys.
Word. And I think I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Hoops in the Heartland and stuff. I feel like I didn't know, Illinois State was in Normal, Illinois. I swear Illinois just makes up cities sometimes. Because each time I hear
I swear we do.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. That's facts. I be hearing about Indiana cities and I'm like,
I've never heard of that. That's a town?
What? That sounds like a, meal plan from Burger King. What is happening?
BK. I love that.
Those commercials make me so mad. You have no idea. Oh, they're hilarious. It's like a troll because it's like they play on every NFL thing. They just play constantly and just.
It doesn't help when you're on social media all the time.
You know how many times I've woken up in a cold sweat just thinking about that? Just
the Burger King.
5 for $2. So and then.
Sorry.
But yeah, again,
we're not sponsored by Burger King.
Not sponsored. Not sponsored. Even though I am a Burger King fan, not sponsored.
I like Whoppers.
Yeah, for sure. I think they're bomb.
Chicken fries.
Chicken fry, I'll take it or leave it. You know what I mean? I do think, with Burger King, I think they sell, raccoon knuckles for their, chicken nuggets and stuff.
Okay. We'll change the subject.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
But, yeah, I was just saying, with Illinois State, I think they're going to have, a challenge there. But it's really about competing, making sure that they play their game the right way and execute. Again, this is a really good learning opportunity for everybody involved, especially for the program. If we win, fantastic. I'm celebrating stuff. If we lose, it depends how we lose. And that's how I react. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
If we just flat out fall apart in the first quarter like we did against Drake, 32-10 in the first quarter is preposterous. You know what I mean? If it's something like that, then I would definitely be, ringing the red alarm, you know what I mean, a little bit for this team. But, again, I think it's just about playing competitive, playing hard, executing, and, that's all I can ask for.
Coach Schertz and Coach Killinger have a lot on their plate coming up in the next weeks. and definitely in the next couple of months. So good luck to the boys. Good luck to the girls, Lady Sycamores, and the men's Sycamores teams. We here at WZIS are going to be rooting you on, talking about you all the time. But, Joe, we're going to take a quick 30-second break brought to you by the Ad Council. And when we come back, we're going to talk about a little bit more professional stuff. We're going to get into some Indianapolis Colts. And to finally end this one, Indiana Pacers. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in 30 seconds.
Open calendar. What's my schedule looking like?
Next Thursday, you will be caught in an emergency flash flood between Park and First Street.
What? No, that doesn't work. I'm busy then. Decline. Decline.
Floods don't exactly work around your schedule. Disasters don't plan ahead. But you can. It starts with talking to your loved ones about making an emergency plan. So don't wait. Communicate. Get started today at ready.gov/plan. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
We're back live here on your favorite sports talk show. Probably your favorite, talk show in general at this point. Me and Joe, the chemistry dynamic duo.
Simple.
We're like Steph and Clay, but I call being Steph. We're like Braun and Wade, but I'm more Braun.
Okay. Debatable. You know what I mean? I let it slide for now, but
I'll take that. Yeah. I'll take that. Oh, man.
I let it slide only because you kind of got me on some of the first round wild card.
We both got ourselves. Hey, if you guys want to talk about some more NFL playoffs, where you can hear me and Joe's conversations about that, how well that's going, and looking at how well halfway point coming up for the NBA season, please check us out. 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Eastern in that 1 hour time slot over on our twitch.tv/WZIS-FM. That'll be every Tuesday. The first week, it's going to be done after tonight. The Cowboys and the Bucks. Should be a lot of fun when we talk about that.
For sure.
I know one of us got one right, but we both did get one wrong. So it should be a lot of fun to talk about that and see how our projections and everything we have to talk about that. Yep. But the unfortunate, sad part of this is now we're not talking about the other teams. We got to be talking about your Indianapolis Colts and how bad they have been and how they are and what is the next step.
Let's make this quick, Coby.
A little bit.
Goodness.
A couple of, weird-ish things happening towards the end of the season. Obviously, when Jeff Saturday got hired on, everyone was like, whoa. Hold up, wait a minute, something don't seem right. And you're dang right it don't seem right. Yeah. This Colts team was banged up from the beginning.
Facts.
I mean, how many did Darius Leonard play more than 2 games? I don't even think he did.
I think literally 2.5. I think he tried to play 1 game. I forget what game it was, and then he left in the middle because he just I couldn't play. But yeah, this Colts squad is one of those kind of experiments that kind of show that you can't have this rent a quarterback era.
Never again.
For an NFL franchise. And I understand where they were coming from. They were like, okay, we don't have Andrew Luck, so let's just, but we do have a squad in general, so let's, just, rinse and repeat, try to get one of these nearly or completely washed up quarterbacks and see if they could just to make a bowl game or, make a pretty decent run in the playoffs. But yeah, that blew up in their faces entirely.
I mean, you go from probably, I'm not going to say the best, but I personally am a fan of how well he was here. Frank Reich. He was a very nice, knowledgeable coach coming over from Philly.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just kind of like one of those things where I'm not sure if we should have. I don't think it's a head coaching thing. Honestly, if I'm keeping the buck, I think it's an owner thing. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Mr. Irsay might be listening.
Yeah, he might be. I hope he is because dude is, not even gonna get into some of the substance problems. But I will say there is a lot of things going into his decision making with this front office, his decision making with quarterbacks, with his players. I feel like he has too much of a hand in a lot of those things where it's just kind of proven time and again that he's just not really the person to be making a lot of those calls.
I get that.
And I just feel like, going forward, I think you should leave it in the hands of just somebody, his decision to somebody who's a little bit more knowledgeable. But I do think he's kind of holding on to this, because he's one of the last family owned franchises, I think, in the NFL.
I know the Lions are.
Exactly. So I think he's one of the last ones. So he's kind of holding on to that because he wants to have a big impression on the squad and stuff. And I can understand that. But at the same time, it's just kind of dog, there's so many people more qualified to make some of these decisions or influence these types of decisions so heavily, than you. But, I think going forward, you do have the draft to look forward to.
Right.
You have the draft to look forward to.
They do have the 4th overall pick.
Exactly.
Upcoming.
So you have I think you're pretty much guaranteed to get at least one solid QB.
I think we all can come on almost maybe 95% of which quarterback that should be. Mm-hmm. Joe, please tell me
Who do you think?
It's got to be CJ.
Yeah.
Easily.
That's it too.
No discredit to Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young is a very quality quarterback, and I just prefer Stroud over Young. I think, Stroud has done a lot. I mean, you could talk about their weapons, but come on. I mean, they both play for two of the best college teams in ever history.
Facts.
So, I mean, it's just your preference. I mean, Bryce Young does his own thing. CJ, I think, does it a little bit better.
For me, it's one, I haven't watched enough of them to really make that call myself. I'm just saying CJ mainly because that's what pretty much all the reports have been talking about.
Yeah.
Who the Colts would probably want to go after. And so I just let people who actually are a little bit more educated on college ball a little bit more to me to make that decision. But I feel like what the Colts game plan should be when it comes to the quarterback position is obviously draft a QB for one, because it's actually preposterous that we have not drafted a QB in the last few years.
Sam Ellinger, you drafted.
That's not Sam Ellinger don't exist.
It counts.
No, it don't. No, he do not. But so I'm just saying when it comes to that, I think right now you should go after a QB who's benchable, right? A person who's not going to be so good to take minutes from CJ Stroud, but you can easily bench him later in the season if you feel like CJ Stroud has made his contributions in practice enough to where you're comfortable with making them start in meaningful games.
Right.
Just somebody he can learn under
maybe Nick Foles comes back and he'll play the next 3 games, first
exactly.
3 games, and then maybe it's a Stroud show.
Facts. That would be cool. I was not this person, but a type like a Andy Dalton almost. Not Andy Dalton.
No, I understand.
But somebody like him to where he gonna get the ball to whoever needs it in that moment, but you could easily bench, Andy Dalton. You know what I mean? Or something like that.
We won't.
Yeah.
Ever. He's never leaving.
Never. Not in his life.
I don't even know if Jameis exists.
Nope.
Something's up with this organization,
tragic,
man.
Tragic.
Something's up.
See, I'm sorry to bring it up, man. I'm sorry to bring it up.
It's whatever.
See, each time I forget, and then I just look on your head and just
I will say this. Andy Dalton was a quality, serviceable quarterback.
Hey, listen.
He didn't do that.
Exactly. He's not a bad QB. You know what I mean? He's just one of those persons who's in the same category of a Gardner Minshew. Or a Nick Foles, or a Ryan Fitzpatrick.
He's not going to lead your team.
He's not going to lead your team.
Not now, especially.
But if you have a quarterback who's you worry is going to be injury prone, or somebody who you're not really sure he's the right guy for it, he's somebody who could possibly keep your season afloat just a little bit, where if you have the right pieces around him.
We were kept in the very end.
Exactly.
Pretty much, besides last week of the season.
So yeah, he might be able to keep your head at or above water enough. But I think somebody like that would be good for this Colts squad. Just somebody who's a bit of a veteran, who's not going to be just absolutely terrible for your squad. Just somebody is going to be very consistent, and have them learn have them teach a CJ Stroud just so he can hand the baton off to him later in that season or the next season. But yeah, I think that's the way in the light for this Sycamores, not Sycamores, but Indianapolis Colts squad for sure. But let me ask you a question.
What?
Do you have a preferred a top 3 when it comes to head coaching candidates for this
Colts team?
Do you have a top 3 or a preferred play style or something that you would like?
Look, I'm gonna keep it a buck here. This man is well overdue for a head coaching job. Eric Bieniemy. I don't care if Patrick Mahomes is under center. I don't care if it's Chad Henne under center. I mean, the fact is, he creates opportunities for that team. It's not just because his quarterback is Patrick Mahomes.
Word.
I think he has a great knowledge of football, and he has shown that year in and year out, every year. I really do believe it's time that this man becomes a head coach, and I think it would be a perfect fit for a young quarterback of this caliber, early draft pick, Colts have a nice foundation already around him.
Facts.
They got arguably, when healthy, the top running back in the game. You have a now solidified wide receiver one in Michael Pittman. When healthy, maybe the best top 3 at least offensive line.
Yeah.
The defense is getting there. They're already up there. They're more, they're above average.
Yeah, and I would say it's kind of a health thing with them as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, still.
But I think Eric Bieniemy is the right decision here if you're the Indianapolis Colts.
That's a good point. That's a really good.
I just don't see why it wouldn't be.
And I just feel like the reason I asked you is because I don't really have one. Just because it's just kind of like, it's almost like, does it even matter if Jim Irsay is still making a lot of these calls? You know what I mean? Because I feel like you said, Frank Wright. I don't think Frank Wright's was a bad not quarterback, but
something had to change. And
you know
unfortunately,
what I mean? And I get it.
When you're losing, and this is just so typical.
Exactly.
It's professional sports, high school sports, college sports. When you're winning, it's the players. When you're losing, it's the coach.
It's the coach. Get him out of here.
Facts.
It's just like, I understand. But it's like, this happens a lot in basketball, and it's really unfortunate that you see it in football sometimes as well. And it's just it's just disgusting. But I think that would be a very good call. I think like a play style that's a little bit more defensive oriented, because I understand the offensive weapons.
No, I get that.
But I don't know why, but whenever I watch the Colts, I just feel like this is a team that can actually have a really, really big defensive identity. You know what I mean? And I think the offense is underdeveloped and out of practice because of the quarterback changes over the last couple of years. So I think it would be easier for this Colts team to have, a defensive coordinator or, just a head coach that's really in tune with the defense and understands it enough to where they play these guys in a way where they, understand each other and can play a complete game from, quarter 1 to quarter 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you play 1 through 4 and you understand how these players play, I think you're just a recipe for success, because once that starts, if your defense can get stops, you have so many opportunities for this developing offense for the Colts to where they can actually start putting stuff together mid to later in the season if just the defense stays consistent. But again, double-edged sword. If the defense is on more, then that means that they'll probably give up more mistakes longer that they're on. But still, I think there needs to be a really, really strong defensive identity for this Colts squad to have a hopeful season next season.
So according to here, my sources, which is the Indianapolis Colts Instagram page, they have completed 9 head coaching interviews.
Wow.
Of those 9, we have Bubba Ventrone, who is the special teams coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Evero, the defensive coordinator for the Broncos. Eric Bieniemy, of course, for the Chiefs. And then you head up just a little bit to, I think, another great quality man in Raheem Morris. He is the DC for the LA Rams, who, of course, they didn't do the best this year, but a lot of that was in part to injuries.
Yep.
Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Lions. Aaron Glenn, who was a part of the special teams, or not special teams. It was a little bit of both for the Saints a couple of years ago, but now he's the DC at Detroit. And then here we have Shane Steichen, who's the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. So right now, that is it. I'm seeing here right in front of me, they have a couple of requests. One of them as well being D'Amico Ryans, who I think would be a great coach one day. Maybe not this year. It just depends, depending on who he wants to go to. I think him and Houston make a lot of sense. Both young. Should be a lot of fun. And then Wink Martindale.
Isn't D'Amico 49ers?
DC, he is part of the, he's 49. I don't know if he's the DC or not, but I think he's like the defensive back coach.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
So I think it's still a little early, but I think he can grow along well with, a nice Houston Texans team.
Fair.
But I digress. Just a couple of things more to note here. I really do believe Eric Bieniemy should be the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. That's one thing I will stand on. But when you go through it, you have the Chicago Bears, who have the number 1 overall pick. They don't need a quarterback. They got Justin Fields. He's already a stud in his 2nd or 3rd season, now being in the NFL. Then you go to the Bryce Young team of the Houston Texans. I think he's going to go there. Arizona Cardinals, they might get Sean Payton. They may not get Sean Payton. Cliff Kingsbury in Thailand, living his best life. Shout out to him. They don't need a quarterback. I mean, it's going to suck when, Kyler Murray's going to be missing out on a couple of games heading into the beginning of the next season, but he will be just healthy. I wouldn't be too worried about a team trading up. I mean, I would be a little worried about the Bears trading back, but I don't necessarily think someone would jump the Houston Texans and the Colts for Bryce Young. I just don't see it. And another thing that has to come about this is when you hit down just a little bit, one other quarterback we have yet to mention who I just personally not the biggest fan on from Kentucky, Will Levis, one of the two. I don't think he can. He's a good quarterback, but he's nothing like what Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud can bring to your offense.
Okay.
That's my last thing I have to say about the Colts. So
let's talk about some Pacers, man.
yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about the Pacers. Good luck to the Colts. I think the right move them. Eric Bieniemy has to become a head coach.
Okay,
It's ridiculous. I really want to see it happen.
Heard.
Hopefully we'll see that, and I hope the Colts do the right thing and take C.J. Stroud. Maybe the Houston Texans do the right thing, take C.J. Stroud. I don't know. I think C.J.'s the best quarterback, but whatever. We're going to take one more 30-second break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about how well the Pacers have been doing, their highs, their lows, obviously missing out on Tyrese Halliburton just for a little bit more time. Hopefully we'll wait and see. Next 30-second ad will be coming from you from the Ad Council once again. And then when we come back, we'll get on out of here, talk some Pacers. And yeah, see you next time. And yep, we'll be right back in 30 seconds.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Welcome back here to Sports Extra, the last segment of today's episode. Happy MLK to everyone out there. It has been a nice, pretty day besides, the weather and all things. But all things considered, I've enjoyed my day off from school and from work, so it's all good.
Factual.
Joe, let's talk about this thing. Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers. Man. A lot of people are saying this team is a fluke.
Who is these people and what is
Twitter
their address? What is their ats? Oh my goodness, I'm finna tear them up, man.
Sports Twitter might be the most hectic thing you could ever get involved in.
NBA Twitter,
NBA Twitter for sure.
If you're thinking about downloading Twitter, don't. All right,
that's a whole other thing.
Just don't. But
yeah,
this squad, I wouldn't say it's a fluke. Again, like you said, we're definitely on a little bit of a skid right now. In terms of, wins and losses. We've
lost 5 in a row.
5 in a row. No, we lost 4 in a row. And
oh, yeah, you're right. We did beat Charlotte.
Yeah, we beat Charlotte, but mainly because Tyrese Halliburton's out. You know what I mean?
Easily. We need a healthy Tyrese to compete.
Yeah, I completely agree. And this is another thing where I remember I love keeping receipts, especially when it comes about basketball.
Let me hear that one.
So I remember when I was in Chestnut and I was in the news and sports meeting, right? And we were talking about something. I was talking about something. Yeah, I'll take LaMelo over Tyrese Halliburton over LaMelo.
Who said this?
This was me.
You said LaMelo?
Me. No, I said Tyrese Halliburton. I'll take Tyrese Halliburton over LaMelo.
Was this before he became a Pacer or after?
This was a little bit after, maybe like a couple of weeks after. And I was saying, I will take Tyrese Halliburton over LaMelo Ball. Everybody called me crazy.
I did.
They called me insane. Look at it. Look at LaMelo's team right now. The Charlotte Hornets are in the gutter. No, he's not. No, he's not no more. Not no more.
He was.
He's
no excuses. Getting back into the swing of things, man.
They are at the bottom. They are 11-34.
They lost so much.
No, they didn't.
They lost Miles Bridges.
But if you compare squads, I can't say if you put LaMelo Ball on this Indiana Pacers team and Tyrese Halliburton on the Hornets team, you just totally switch them. I don't think the Pacers would be in this position. I think they would be near the bottom like the Hornets are.
That's crazy because I really am high on LaMelo, and I stay by that.
I think LaMelo is a good player, but I'm not sure if he contributes to really good winning basketball teams.
No, I understand.
Because I just think especially this might be just kind of a young in his career type of thing, because to his credit, he has switched and had a lot of discourse in a lot of the NBA and professional teams that he's been a part of, even in high school.
So much going on, even from Chino Hills to Lithuania. Then he went over back here to
He
play
went Australia.
He went to high school his final year. Australia,
Yeah, exactly. And then you get drafted to the Charlotte Hornets, which is a bit of a, not a very level
Historically
professional
not the best.
franchise, in the league.
And who's running that team, by the way?
Michael Jeffrey Jordan, man.
Weird, isn't it?
Weird. Odd. I really don't think.
One heck of a ball player, but man, is he a bad businessman.
If he wasn't Michael Jeffrey Jordan, he would be out. There will be a coup inside of the Charlotte if he
Hornets
wasn't
would
that
freak
man.
out.
Because oh my gosh, just what he did with the Wizards and then what he did with he needs to be out.
Can I mention one more thing about the Hornets real quick? I think they absolutely got, I'm not going to say the word, but mishandled is the word I'm going to go with, that their head coaching job and how that worked out.
That was a terrible pick.
Awful
what?
job to hire Steve Clifford, who was already
That's a
there and did nothing
terrible
for you
pick.
guys, and now he's back in there doing nothing. Surprise, surprise.
I remember when in the beginning where they were like, okay, we picked Kenny Atkinson, and then Kenny Atkinson had probably he had one meeting with Michael Jordan, and then looked in the front office and what was happening behind the scenes, and he was just like, nah, I prefer to just stay assistant coach. And I don't even blame him because it's the Charlotte Hornets. It's just ridiculous. But then you go Steve Clifford. I prefer a random first year head coach over Steve Clifford, just especially with this core because Steve Clifford is just not going to play no young guys.
I get you.
But yeah, I just feel like
Pacers anyway.
Yeah, just going into it, I do think Tyrese Halliburton is one of those players who you are going to put on your squad and they are immediately just going to be better. You know what I mean? They're going to have better winning basketball all throughout to where you understand he's just going to get you the ball. That's why Benedict Mathurin wanted to play for us because he just knew that Tyrese Halliburton was going to get him the ball on a consistent basis and help him develop and
that
become
duo, man. It's gonna be the best duo in
it's going to be
years.
nice. There's going to be a fantastic, fantastic backcourt in a few years. So, and then just moving forward, I just think Tyrese Halliburton is just a winning player. And then when you don't have him on the squad, constantly understanding the flow of the game, getting the right people, the right ball at the right time, it's just hard. You know what I mean? It's hard to replace that. Even though we have, I think is the biggest steal of the draft considering where we got him, Andrew Nembhard.
Oh, easily.
He nice.
Easily.
31st and stuff, and he's out here just balling. Fantastic. And
he went to Nova, right? Was it Nova?
He went to
Gonzaga?
Gonzaga.
Yeah,
Gonzaga.
my bad.
Gonzaga. But yeah, fantastic pickup. But I think with the Pacers right now, really it's just try to win.
It's hard not.
It's either
hard.
I don't know. Because again, I've been conflicted. Throughout this podcast, I've been conflicted. I don't know if I want us to win or want us to lose.
At this point,
Pick
just
one.
give me the wins.
Just pick one. Just I feel like at this point
We're
you
not
win,
going to get him.
But just pick one.
We're not getting Wemby. We don't need Wemby. We got Jalen Smith and Miles Turner.
Okay. I will reach across the table and smack you in the face.
I'm sorry.
But still,
We have Isaiah Jackson playing 1 minute.
But yeah, I just think this Pacers squad needs to pick a direction to go through. But I do think while Tyrese Halliburton's out, just try to keep the ship afloat. You know what I mean? I think somebody needs to step up for the squad, and I really don't know who, but somebody's out.
The team's weird. I mean, I think in general the East is bad. So
I disagree completely.
you think the East is good?
I think the East is better than the West. Right now. Because if you think about the three, who are the top three contenders for the title right now?
The top three, in my opinion. Bucks.
Yep.
I want to say a healthy Sixers team.
Yep. It's fair.
I can't say Boston yet.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. It's
West, though?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You think of the top three.
Can't even be the Warriors. Nuggets, Suns.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just you have, when you think about possible title winners, they're all from the East. And then it just feels like those top four are a lock right now. And then even when you go past the top four, there's a bunch of really competitive teams like the Cavaliers who are really competitive, the Knicks who are playing very, very well of late, the Heat who have, picked it up since Jimmy Butler has got healthy.
Yeah.
The Pacers, I mean, they've knocked down a couple of people. But then you got to go past that. And even if you go past that, you still have to face a couple of the top, in talent in the league because you have Trae Young.
I didn't even mention the Pelicans.
Exactly. The Pelicans.
They've just been missing Zion.
They've been missing Zion. But I think the Pelicans, they're so fun. I love the Pelicans.
They might be my number one.
When
healthy.
In the next 2 to 3 years, it's going to be between them, Boston, Them, Boston, and I'm trying to pick one more.
Dallas, maybe.
And Dallas.
What's going on with Atlanta?
TBA,
What's
TBA.
going on with it? Like Trey, man.
Ooh, I'm glad you brought that up because this is Pacers related. I remember, like you said, NBA Twitter is a terrible place, full of terrible people.
Let me guess. It's the same thing, but you're changing LaMelo's with Trey Young.
No, not that. No, don't get me crazy now. Don't give me ideas. Don't give me ideas. But I remember when the Nate McMillan got hired by the Hawks.
Yes.
And stuff. And then they went on this fantastic winning streak after they got.
Oh, they did
stuff.
for sure.
They looked nice.
They made it the Eastern Conference Finals.
Exactly. That what I mean. That fantastic. And people were like, for the Hawks, were telling like, ha, Pacers. Thanks for Nate McMillan. You know what I mean. And now what they saying now?
Nothing.
They say fire Nate McMillan. They like pitchforks, torches, just going to his house. You know what I mean?
Better.
Exactly. And I'm just saying, like, Nate McMillan's just not going to be a type of player that's, type of person who's going to construct a really good offense, especially around like high end talent like DeJounte Murray and Trae Young. You know what I mean? And they have very specific play styles like that. So, I just don't think, that's what's funny about that. I do think that, eventually he's probably going to
We're
get
going
up
to
out of
have
there.
to do a quick review tomorrow. That's
Yeah.
probably our segment.
For sure.
We're going to do
think-
the playoffs and review the whole
Exactly.
NBA.
And then just go through the NBA because, so much has happened.
There's so many questions I have about this NBA.
But yeah, man, it's just the Pacers. Shout out to them. Hopefully they start picking it up a little bit or just start losing on this huge losing streak and go to the bottom of the East. Either way, I need them to do either or. I can't be a middling team right now for me.
It's crazy
But,
because just 2 weeks ago we were like fourth, maybe fifth.
I think we were like
Conference,
5th or 6th, yes.
and now we're at eighth.
Yeah, exactly.
We're still making playoffs.
That's how competitive the East is, man. But yeah, for sure.
Oh man, I always will stand by this. I love the play-in. Play-in is much needed.
Fantastic idea. Shout out Adam Silver, man.
Why can't Adam Silver be why can't Roger Goodell be like Adam Silver?
Because it's football and nobody cares about the players like that.
Straight up.
Or now they're starting to, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But
Oh man, Joe, this was a great episode. I loved being back in here with you. Just chatting it up, doing all we can to make
man, I want to do
everyone
another
happy.
hour. Like another one.
Shoot, I wish we could. I wish we could, but
Exactly.
we're not going to be talking about a whole lot now. But tomorrow you can catch us on Twitch, 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/WZIS-FM. Follow all of our social medias if you want to stay updated on everything sports related through Indiana State, through the pro level, and of course through us individually, personally, and on our talk show and podcast, which is our Twitter at WZIS-FM. We have a call-out meeting this Thursday in the Dreiser Hall, room 323. That is on the 3rd floor of Dreiser Hall. So
Be there,
should
be
not be
square.
missed. It's just right in front of Erickson. I mean, it's not too far. You could do anything: sports, radio, music. I mean, video. You could do producing, online the content, like anything and everything. I know I'm missing a few things, but it's still so much fun. Yeah, you come for the job, but you stay for the family, the friends, and the memories to be made.
Yep.
Joe, you got any more last thoughts and words before we get on out of here tonight? I got to upload this on YouTube. You can also check out our YouTube at
Exactly.
WZIS.
Facts. Last thought. Go Sycamores.
Go Sycamores, man. Turn up. That's all I want. Please.
Exactly.
Turn
Please
up a little.
And last, go Pacers? Question mark.
Go Pacers?
I don't know if I don't want to win. I don't know what I want to
Colts, draft CJ Stroud. Hire Eric Bieniemy. Do the right thing.
do something.
Saints, we'll talk in private.
All right.
Thank you, Joe, for being on today.
Of course.
You can always count on you, man. Love doing this show with you. Mondays and Tuesdays. Sports Extra Uncut, the best duo out there. For Joseph, the Lawnmower, I've been the Coby Clark. Everyone take care. And until next time, we will see y'all. Be safe. Peace.